Wanted to play a prank on my childhood friend while waking him up. But he just opened his eyes, said my name, and asked, "Why are you so late coming to see me this time?" Before I could figure out what he meant, he reached out his arm, lifted the blanket, pulled me onto his bed, and even thoughtfully covered me up. He did it all so smoothly, as if it wasn't the first time. That morning, sunlight streamed through the gaps in the curtains. I was curled up on the sofa scrolling through my phone when Aunt Sue called. "Whoa, Yi. Come over for lunch. I made your favorite spicy pork trotters." I could hear the sizzle of the wok in the background. I perked up immediately and promised I'd be there soon. My parents had already gone out, and as usual, they told me to eat next door. Our families have always been this close. Our mothers have been best friends since college. They were pregnant around the same time and used to joke that we were promised in the womb. We grew up as neighbors. Our families have each other's door codes. When I was little and my parents traveled for work, I would just stay at Susie N's house. Vice versa. I've eaten almost half my meals at their place. I walked to his house, knocked lightly, then used my fingerprint to open the door. We don't usually just walk in. Basic manners and all, but we make an exception when our parents aren't home. The smell of spicy braised pork hit me as soon as I stepped inside. I called out to Aunt Sue. She told me to eat a lot, then asked me to wake up her son. I climbed the stairs, walked past the faded cartoon stickers on his door, and knocked. No answer. I knocked again. Nothing. I pushed the door open. His room was a mess, papers scattered across the desk, an open laptop still glowing. The curtains were drawn, and the only light came from the computer screen and the small nightstand lamp. He was lying on his back on the bed, wearing a black cotton t-shirt. The blanket pulled up only to his stomach. His glasses were on the nightstand. His hair was messy, and a bit of stubble had grown on his chin. His features were still striking high nose bridge, thin lips. He looked softer when he slept. I walked over and pushed his shoulder. "Susie Ann, wake up." "Nothing." I pushed harder. "Wake up. Time to eat." He opened his eyes just a sliver. His gaze was hazy, unfocused. He looked at me for a moment. Then he closed his eyes again. I was about to think of a way to really prank him when he shifted onto his side. Facing me, eyes still closed, he reached out and grabbed my wrist. Not hard, but with an unnerving accuracy, as if he'd done it many times before. He pulled me down onto the bed, settled his hand on my waist, drew me against him, and covered me with the blanket. "Why are you so late coming to see me?" he mumbled, his voice thick with sleep. Then he kissed my cheek. I was stunned. The whole sequence was too smooth to be improvised. We've always been the bickering type. We trade insults, we help each other out, but we've never not once been this physically close. I wanted to think he'd mistaken me for someone else, but he said my full name. No mistake. My face and ears burned. I could feel the heat creeping down my neck. Hey. I pushed his arm off me, threw off the blanket, and scrambled out of bed. I ran downstairs, told his mother I just remembered an appointment, and rushed out. I didn't even have my shoes on properly. We've known each other since before we were born. Our mothers were the best of friends. They went to college together, ended up working in the same city, got married around the same time, and were pregnant together. But we weren't the kind of childhood friends you see in novels. As kids, I hated playing with boys. I thought they were chaotic and messy, and he thought girls were too traumatic. We were forced to play together because our parents were close. It was mutual torture. It wasn't until we were older that we started to get along. Not best friends, but friends. Real friends. In adolescence, I devoured stories about childhood sweethearts, and I wondered if we might have something like that. But feelings don't just materialize because you want them to. So no, nothing happened. Still, as we grew up, our relationship deepened. We became each other's confidants, the people we could vent to, the people we could count on. After that morning, I started avoiding him. I stopped hanging out at his place. I kept my replies short when he texted. I could sense his confusion, but I couldn't explain. 2 weeks later, our parents sensed something was off. They suggested a camping trip. The mothers took the light stuff and walked ahead, chattering. The fathers followed, carrying the tents and grills. Susie and I were tucked together, hauling everything else. He broke the silence first. "You can wait in the car. I'll get this." I refused, even though the old me would have agreed without a second thought. Saying yes felt like running away. He ended up taking the heavier loads anyway. The drive was torture. We didn't speak. Eventually, I asked him to play some music. He handed me his phone. I opened his music app and hit play. Every song was a love song. Slow, tender ballads about missing and loving and not being able to forget. It was such a strange contrast to his usual cold exterior. I pretended to sleep for the rest of the drive, but my mind was racing. Who was he thinking about? Who were these songs for? That night, by the campfire, our parents grilled meat and talked. My father, oblivious as ever, asked my mother if we'd had a fight. She rolled her eyes, annoyed at him for not noticing sooner. Then they started telling stories from their youth. Stories about how they'd made up after arguments, how they'd gone from friends to lovers. The hint was obvious. Susie and I exchanged a glance, then looked away. He stared at the fire. I stared at the ground. Finally, they announced they were going for a walk. "You to stay here." I knew it was my mother and Aunt Sue's idea. They walked off, and soon it was just us. I tried to laugh. He said, "You don't have to if it's not real." He was right. I was forcing it. I was about to say something when he spoke first. "Mom said you came to our house that day." He wasn't asking. He knew. I confirmed it. "And you came to my room?" He was looking at his cup now, not at me. I could see his thumb moving across the rim, back and forth his tail when he was thinking. I waited. Finally, he said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." He rarely used my nickname. "Did I kiss you that day?" He wasn't as sure about this one, and his hesitation told me everything. "Yes," I said. Then, afraid of what he might say next, I rushed to add, "But you mistook me for someone else, right?" He looked at me. Something flickered in his eyes. Hurt, tenderness, resignation. "If you want to think that," he said, "then think that." Then he told me what really happened. He'd been up all night working. He was exhausted. When I woke him, he was still mostly asleep, still in a dream. He hadn't realized it was real. He didn't figure it out until his mother mentioned later that I'd come over. He thought it was just another dream. That was that. A mistake. We agreed to go back to the way we were. We shook on it. His hand was big and warm. And the moment he took mine, I regretted it. I pulled back as soon as I could. I wasn't fooled. Something had shifted. The way he looked at me had changed. To escape it, to reset whatever this was, I threw myself into meeting new people. I went on blind dates. My mother, thrilled that I'd finally agreed to them, started setting them up left and right. She even recruited Aunt Sue, but Aunt Sue found fault with every candidate. When Susie was home, she'd ask his opinion too, and he'd find fault with every one of them. One day, he sent me a selfie. "You spend all your time looking at my face," he wrote. How could any of them possibly measure up? Arrogant. He had the face to back it up. It was during one of those dates that I ran into an old college classmate. His name was Kong Kiwi Ai. He'd had a crush on me back then. I turned him down. He'd just moved to the city. We reconnected, and my friend Jia Yan, ever eager to play matchmaker, started pushing us together. He was gentle, polite, clearly interested. That night he texted me, saying he was serious, that I should consider him. Susie caught me looking at my phone. He started showing up at my place more often. He'd learned to cook. One day, he cooked for me. I took a picture. He posed for it. "This is the first time," he said. "We can remember it." but there can be many more. I didn't know what to say. There was a dinner with Kong and Xiao Yan. Then a movie. Xiao Yan conveniently had to leave early. Kong walked me home. As we were passing through the small park near my house, I saw him, Suzian, standing under a street lamp. He saw us. He strode over, took my bag off my shoulder, turned to Kong and said, "Thanks. She's home now. You can go back." Then he took my wrist and pulled me away. "Is that the guy?" he asked. "Doesn't look like much. He didn't even carry your bag. If he won't do that, don't expect anything else." I told him not to, I said. "He's just a friend. You're the exception." He stopped. "I thought I was obvious," he said. "I thought you understood. That day in my room I kissed you. You said I mistook you for someone else. But I said your name. There's no one else with your name." He said he'd been giving me time to process. He hadn't expected me to run from it. "Can you think about it?" He said. "Think about what I mean to you, what you feel for me, and notice that you don't feel it for anyone else." He opened my front door and pushed me inside. Just before he closed it, he added, "I'll be back in a day." I went to my room, collapsed in my chair, and buried my face in my hands. I screamed. My parents rushed in. I lied and said I was fine. I called Zhou Yan. I told her everything. She wasn't surprised. "I already know," she said. "I'm the one who told him you were with Kong." "What?" "But you were the one pushing me toward Kong. I was pushing you toward someone," she said. "Anyone. I just wanted to help you try. Who it was didn't matter to me. That's not something I can decide for you anyway. You have to feel it for yourself. However you decide, I'll be here." The next afternoon, he was already in my living room waiting. "What are you doing here?" I asked. "You said a day." "I was afraid you'd run," he said. He patted the seat beside him. "Stop resisting. You like me." I started to deny it. "You were just ogling me the other day," he said. I couldn't argue. "Maybe a little." I admitted. "Just a little." "Just a little is enough," he said, smiling. And then a bouquet of flowers appeared in his hands. "Be my girlfriend." I nodded. He kissed me. I pulled away. "Don't tell our parents," I said. "It'll be too awkward if it doesn't work out." He thought for a moment. "If I said no, would you take it back?" I didn't answer. He kissed me again, harder. After that, he was always a rat. Clingy. I'd wake up and find him already in my room. Not doing anything. Just waiting. Then he'd lie beside me. Just hold me. I asked him about that day. He buried his face in the blanket and mumbled that he used to have dreams about me. That day, he thought he was still dreaming. He insisted on coming with me the next time I saw Kong. Not because I wanted him to. Because he wanted to mark his territory. Kong texted me later, just to wish me happiness. I wished him the same.